Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are back with Shore's Wellness Solutions and Amy Stopczynski joining us and her husband, Dr. Dave Wendel, who maybe I could use today for his advice on getting my voice back. Welcome to the show. Would you mind introducing yourself today?
Thank you, Jill, and Happy New Year to you and all your listeners and viewers. I'm Dr. Dave Wendel, and with me, of course, my lovely wife, Amy Stopczynski, and we are here from Shore's Wellness Solutions in beautiful downtown Roseville, Michigan.
Not really downtown.
Yeah, it's close.
We're kind of there.
There's no downtown.
How was the holidays? How was the new year?
It was good.
It was nice. My wife took me out dancing all night long. It was awesome.
Really? That is so sweet.
It was fun.
Yep.
Yes.
She even got
We're
me out
from
on the dance floor.
store. Had to teach him a few moves, get rid of the white boy moves a little bit. So it was good.
I'm a product of the 70s and 80s. So if you remember Caddyshack.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Dance. So she's trying to break that habit. So we're getting there.
good. Well, happy to have you here. What did you have in mind for us today? And again, I apologize. My voice is so raspy. As always, I mean, you'll do most of the talking, so I'll help you moderate. Go ahead.
All right. So we're going to be talking about thermography today. And for those who don't know what thermography is with a T like therm, it is digital heat imaging of the body.
Yeah, so it's a radiation-free, state-of-the-art screening. It can detect abnormalities 8 to 10 years sooner than standardized tests, which is a great thing. And we're going to talk about some facts and statistics about those numbers as well. It's non-invasive. So it's great, especially for women checking their breasts, because you can see densities, especially a lot of times for mammograms, they say it's hard to detect if you have dense breasts. It's harder if you've had implants as well. And with thermography, you can get those areas checked without having to worry about radiation, compression, or anything like that. You can see pinpoint areas of concern and then correct it before it becomes a big issue. So it's a really important thing that a lot of people don't understand or know that it even exists. So we want to share that a little bit more about what thermography is and how it works.
And just curious, you're right, because every year they say, okay, make sure you get your mammogram. Here's your script, the doctor says, but why are we doing that? Why are they not saying go?
So first, a quick disclaimer. We're not here to tell people not to get a mammogram. So that's not what we're here to do. We're here to present an alternative.
Why not both?
Diagnostic testing. Right. So
and with mammograms as well, they don't even suggest it till later in life.
So the current statistics on that or guidelines is for in the United States, women over 40 every year. The rest of the world, a few years back, adopted every other year or every third year, starting at age 50, because they felt between 40 and 50, they really weren't getting much results or information from that. And the issue with mammograms, starting at age 40, you probably don't know, so that's why we're here. About 47,000 women each year die of breast cancer under the age of 40. So it is the number one killer of women under the age of 40. And so you look at the current standards and where they came from, and we can dive a little bit into that. But that's not really a great standard to have for our quote unquote gold standard.
And typically when you get breast cancer under the age of 40, it's more aggressive. It's a lot worse and it's harder to treat at that point. But what's crazy about that is if they're not even suggesting, and I think they just moved it to 45 actually, just recently. I believe they changed it to starting even later before you're getting checked. And the downside to that is by the time you actually get checked, it's so aggressive that there's not much you can do about it. So why aren't we getting checked at a younger age? Why aren't we starting in our 30s, checking to see if there's anything going on? Because if there is, we can help you by changing your lifestyle. We can feed you the right nutrition and supplements that's going to actually super feed the body so it can heal and repair, so you don't have to worry about all the other things down the line. So it's really, really important to understand that there is testing out there that is non-invasive for you to check. And even doing a baseline at an early age, unless you feel something going on or a change in the breast or things like that, even checking every other year. And then once you hit 30, you really want to check it yearly, because that's the biggest time that you may have something going on, and you don't want to do it before it's too late. It's a preventative measure.
And I know on this topic, as we say some different stats and figures and give you some information, there's going to be some viewers and listeners that may be offended by it and say, oh, well, that's not true. It is true. There won't be anything that we state that is not true, but it could be just a new concept where it may be hard for some listeners to grasp. And I like to be a bit controversial, so I don't mind delivering, the information.
Well, it's not about being controversial, in my opinion. I think it's educating people that there are tests that you can do prior and not waiting until it's too late. There's a lot of things that we can do. If we take care of our bodies are going to last a long time. So it's really important to educate people, about other options or things that you can start doing sooner. Not that you can't do it at a later age too, because why would you want to have to radiate yourself and, smush yourself and things like that when you don't have to? So there's things that you can do. That's a easier choice, I guess, in my opinion, another option to do, so you can check things and you can use it in conjunction. But I would check that first, because now you have a non-invasive way of testing to see what's going on.
So thermography has been around since 1956 and using it for study of the human body. It was cleared by the FDA back in 1982, along with mammograms. They were cleared at the same time. And then for 2 years, insurance is reimbursed for both. If we know now, insurance is only reimbursed for mammograms. Why not thermography? Well, there's a foundation out there, the Susan G. Komen Foundation, that lobbied all our politicians to not include thermography with insurance reimbursement. They wanted to hold the field. And it's right in their bylaws and guidelines that they did this to squelch other ways to diagnose breast cancer. Thermography should be done once a woman hits puberty, and then starting at age 20 every other year, and then at age 30 yearly, unless something is found. And as Amy said before, we find things 8 to 10 years sooner. The thermography is 97% accurate for finding things the size of a sesame seed or larger. A mammogram is 83% accurate for things the size of a dime or larger. And so things have had to been grown for a while before it can be found on a mammogram. Mammogram, when you radiate, you're building up radiation in the fatty tissues, particularly if you're doing breast on a regular basis. You also risk metastasis, because if there's something there and you compress it, you can then cause metastasis. And if you want to understand that, just think of a sponge. If you take a sponge and squeeze it, the water is going to come out. And so those are some risk factors with that. And those have been published in some medical journals, particularly back in the mid-90s. The Lancet had it. I know the Lancet isn't as up to date as it used to be. I'll keep it simple. But back when they were really reputable, that was some really great research that was done. There's a lot of great books and articles out there on thermography and the efficacy of it. And so those are the things that you need to know and understand.
And a few startling facts that you might not know or understand is a chance of women having breast cancer is 1 in 8. So it's very high. Breast cancer is a leading killer in women ages 35 to 54. So again, it's really important to start getting checked earlier, because that's your number one killer. There's over 1 million cases of undetected cases currently. 47,000 women die under the age of 50.
That's every year.
I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy. And this is something that, if it's caught early, is preventable. You can change that. You can feed the body the things that it needs, take out the things that are feeding it, which is another thing we've kind of talked about a little bit before. But we want to reiterate, sugar is a big feeder of cancer.
Cancer loves to eat sugar. And cancer cells eat 8 to 12 times faster than normal cells. So if you're eating sugar, whether it's in the form of white flour or in the form of sweeteners, those cancer cells are going to grow much quicker.
Right. Everybody has cancer cells in their body. Let's be real. It just depends on if you're going to feed those cancer cells, what it what it needs to actually grow into an issue, or if you're taking away the things that are feeding it so the body can heal and they go back into like a dormant state. So it's really important. And that's why we teach so strongly about the prevention, testing things earlier to make sure that you can check things and do something about it, and changing your lifestyle, super feeding the body the nutrients it needs so it can heal and repair, so you don't have to go through all the devastating things that come along with it.
So if we've caught your attention so far, you can reach us at shoreswellnesssolutions.com. Our number here is 586-445-8032. Oh, I almost forgot that. And
It
we
happens.
and an email, we are changing lives at shoreswellnesssolutions.com for email. And we'd be more than happy to answer questions from anybody out there who wants to know more information, but we still have more to give.
Right. Go for it. And just remind us how we can reach you again.
Sure. Our email is changinglives@shoreswellnesssolutions.com. And our direct line is 586-445-8032. I got it that time.
And our website is shoreswellnesssolutions.com as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, great. Let's continue with this information. I'm shocked. It's funny. I've heard of thermography. We talked about it a little bit before, but I don't understand why they would fight against doing two methods that could help someone.
It's about money.
Yeah, that's a shame. It really is.
Exactly. There's no money if you don't have cancer and you're not going through all those treatments and things like that. There's no money in it. So if you're healthy, right, and you don't need to go see the doctor, you don't need to go in for anything, and your body's working the way it's supposed to, there's no money in it. So unfortunately, it's very sad, but we want to teach you that there are alternatives as well. And what's great about thermography is it isn't just for breasts. We do full body thermographies as well. So it's going to check more than just that. We can check the thyroid to see if the thyroid's functioning or if you're having issues with that. You look like you had something to say.
I got lots to say.
I know.
I'll be a patient.
Go ahead.
We can find out years ahead of time if a person is susceptible to a stroke by looking at the carotid arteries. And you don't see them from here, because remember, with thermography, we're looking at physiology. We're looking at changes in heat in the body. We're not looking at anatomy. An X-ray, an MRI, a CAT scan, that all looks at anatomy. That looks for fractures, tumors, things like that. We're looking for changes in heat. And you say, well, why is that important? Well, before any issue of the body becomes a major problem, you'll get a change in heat. And that change of heat is more blood flow to an area.
Inflammation, we talked about that in previous weeks. Inflammation, how inflammation plays a role in the body working or not working. And so we want to reduce that inflammation. And that's something that's going to show up on a thermogram.
And if a tumor is starting to grow in its infancy, it'll produce a hormone called VEGF, vascular endothelial growth factor. And that tumor will put it out into the surrounding area. And when that hits the blood vessel will start to grow towards the tumor. And as it hits another blood vessel, more blood will grow towards that tumor. And that's what causes the increase of heat in a localized area, the increase of blood flow. And that's called angioneogenesis, the growth of new blood vessels. And so by doing that, the tumor is looking to feed itself, because once that blood vessel hits the tumor, it will triple its size in that first year. You want me to keep going? I'll keep going. So when we talk about, well, how does...
I like to talk about all the things that it looks for.
So when we look at a head and neck, and we talk about the carotid arteries, we're looking for the heat differential up here, supraclavicular, supraorbital arteries here. If one side is colder than the other, that tells me that if this is the cold side, this carotid is occluded or blocked. And so when it gets to a certain point, that's when we know when to send out. So we know that when we have findings, like with women as well with breast cancer, we know that it comes a certain point, we may have to send them out to other practitioners for other services for the best treatment, best protection of them. So it's not just us. We have had women come to us and say, no, it's in your hands and God's. We don't want to go the medical route. We don't want to be butchered and go on to, chemo and radiation, because we don't like the side effects of any of those. We've had women that have come in that have been damaged from the compression of mammography, Yeah, I said that right. Think about that for a minute. And so it's really important to know and understand that. And we have watched women with stage 2, with stage 3 breast cancer reverse themselves back to being totally clear, clean bill of health. It's not a quick thing, but it's something that can be done usually within 12 to 18 months is my experience. Go ahead. You want me to keep going?
Well,
Okay.
no, I just didn't know where you were going to next.
No, I'll let you go. Other inflammatory things we'll find. We can look at posture analysis and see how posture is off based on the inflammation that's found. We can see if people are developing neuropathies, which is great for diabetics, type 1, type 2, if it's advanced, whether it's in the upper extremity, the arms and hands, or the lower extremity, the legs and feet. And we can see these things based on the heat differential. And the neat thing about thermography, you can never look at something and say, ooh, what's that? You have to look at something, let's say it's on the right side, and then you have to look at the left side and see if it exists there also.
Right, because everybody's body, for one, is different. And what's great about thermography is you can see those changes. So let's say we do find something. We put you on a protocol, we're checking everything out, we're seeing what's happening. We can recheck you by taking those pictures again and see, is it changing? Is it getting better? Is it going away? Is it getting worse? And you don't have to worry about the radiation and all of that to keep checking everything. You can physically see it and you can be like, hey, we're on the right track. Or, hey, maybe we need to do something different because things aren't changing as quickly as we want, or that kind of thing. So it's a great, great tool to check your progress as well and physically see what's happening, so you can know that you're on the right track, or do we need to change something? And you don't have to keep waiting, and you can do it as frequently as needed without having to worry about any issues and anything like that. It'll check for abdominal inflammation, which, let's be real, we have a lot of people with gut issues going on. So it's nice to see exactly where it's happening in the gut, in the digestive tract, so you can make sure you're feeding it the right supplements and tools to help with those things as well.
And the inflammation over the abdominal area, the stomach area, that people call it, will determine, which organs we want to target to make sure that we're bringing back up to normal function, getting them working.
You can even check for melanomas and things if you have something on the skin to check to see if there's an issue. A lot of times we'll do a full body thermo and you see an area of the skin that looks abnormal, and you can say, hey, we need to send you out to a dermatologist. You need to get that checked. That doesn't look like it should be looking. There's an area that, just doesn't look right. So we need to take care of those things.
Keep going. You're on a roll.
I'm not sure.
Well, could I just ask, expense-wise, how much does it cost? Approximately anywhere from what to what? I mean, clearly it's worth the investment, but just curious about what costs are for thermography, if you don't mind sharing.
Oh, not at all.
So in our office, if you get a full body thermography, it's $4.99.
Wow.
If you're new to our office, we also include our full new patient exam as well. And so how we help our patients out, if they're going forward with a full exam, is we want to make sure that if we do a full exam, that part of your testing you can submit to your insurance company for reimbursement if your insurance company covers that testing. So we do try to help our patients out as much as we can. But we think it's important to not only get the thermogram, we think it's important to do the other testing like we do in our office, because we want to check for everything. We want to see everything that's going on in the body. We like to check the heart, which we use our heart sound recorder reading to check the 4 valves of the heart as well, because it's very important how the heart's functioning. We do our nutritional exam using nutrition response testing, so we can see if there's any food sensitivities, chemicals, stressors, all of that. So you're getting everything for that $4.99. We also give a discount if you prepay for your appointment. You can get everything for $4.49. And that also includes your report of findings, where we're going to sit down and go over the results of your thermogram. We're going to go over all the testing that we did, how you're absorbing nutrients and minerals, and what our recommendations are moving forward, which is great. Now, if you're not ready to do the full body, but you want to just do breast only, we do that for $2.99 with a prepayment of $2.49 if you want to hold your spot. Gives you a little bit of a discount. And that will include a breast thermography where we check just the breast only, but also our full nutritional exam as well. So it's very affordable to do and check yearly. We spend more than that just getting our Starbucks coffee every day. If you add that up, you're going to spend way more than either of those things. And that's probably harming your health because most people put sugars and all the extra fun frills into it. But it's a very, very affordable test that's going to tell you so much about your health and help you just be preventative in what's going on, especially for the new year. Let's check ourselves, see where we're at. We have a whole year now to get our bodies in shape, make sure we're healthy, make sure we're feeling well. So it's really important, and it's a really affordable test to get your body checked.
All right. Thank you. What else did you want to share about thermography, both of you?
Good. Oh, you popped something up, so I thought you were on the way to go.
Well, I did mention earlier it's 97% accurate. There aren't any false positives in there, because when you're looking at inflammation, increased blood flow, it's either there or it's not. When you look at a mammogram, 20% of women who get mammograms have false negatives, meaning they're told that everything's fine, but it's not. They have something there. And that's 1 out of 5 women getting a mammogram. And I'm not knocking it. I'm just telling you what the statistics are, what the facts are with these different tests.
So there are over 20,000 cases of cancer each year in women under the age of 40. That's crazy, crazy, crazy. And it's really, really important to know that, why are we waiting until...
And there's no screening for that group.
Exactly. There's no screening anywhere except for thermography. And so why wouldn't you start getting checked? I mean, I look at all these young kids who are out getting their lashes done and facials every day, and they're spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars every month, which is great. But wouldn't you want to know if there was something going on internally that you could change and correct early, so you don't have to deal with all of the extra stress that comes along with just getting checked to make sure that your body is working the way it's supposed to? I think it's just so important. And most women don't even know that it's out there. And that's the part that is, kind of nerve-wracking. And I think it's important to get the information out so people can have an alternative of something to do so they can change their life for the better.
And I don't put a shout out for Amy. We are both certified thermography technicians. I introduced her to this test back in 2016, I think. And she's like, I have to do that in our office. And she is phenomenal with her performance, handling of the test, the technical aspect of it. And it's just really amazing. And there's just countless women that we have helped, particularly her, just the last couple of years in doing this. And it's just incredible the changes we can make in people's lives, before there's a major issue.
And what's also awesome is seeing the changes. If we are finding issues in the body and putting them on a protocol and rechecking them and seeing how much things can change. People don't realize, put the right nutrients in your body. We can eat all the fruits and vegetables on the planet, but most of them, for one, are depleted of the nutrients that it used to be, just the way that it's commercially grown. And we can do all of those things, but we can't get enough of the right nutrients in. And people don't realize how beneficial supplementation is, using
supplementation.
Exactly. And there's a difference between the two. We only use whole foods here in our office. So when it says kale and Brussels sprouts, that's what they do. They take it out of the ground, pulverize it into a capsule. And those are the things we're going to use to help your body heal and repair. And they're so highly concentrated that most people can't eat 7 pounds of kale and Brussels sprouts a day, but you can take some capsules to feed your body that nutrition so it can heal and do what it needs to do and repair. And that's what's super awesome. And that people, if they just understood that alone, adding the right nutrients in to their body. And we design a protocol specific to you and your body and what your body needs based on our testing, which is great because now you don't have to guess. You don't have to go to the store. Everyone's going to the store and they're like, the new year, I need to be healthy. I need to start taking my supplements. I need to be doing the right things. But do you really know what you should be taking? Do you know how much you should be taking? Or do you want a design clinical program that's going to tell you exactly what your body needs, how much you should be taking, so you know you're taking the right things?
And something to look at on supplements. I know you're probably not going to be able to see this. I'll get it close to the camera. If you look at the nutrition information on there, where it lists different vitamins, you'll notice afterwards there are no parentheses with words in them. So when you go to the store and you see supplements and you pick it up off the shelf and you see where it says, oh, look at that, thiamine. And then in parentheses, there's a couple words in there. Or vitamin C, and in parentheses, it'll say ascorbic acid. That's a clue right there that what you're buying is synthetic. When you buy different minerals and herbs and they're not telling you where their source is, that's telling you it's synthetic. And it won't be handled in the body and it won't function in the body the way that it's supposed to.
Yeah, when you put a synthetic supplement in the body, the liver then has to work twice as hard to process it. And your liver is your filter. It pulls all the toxins out, helps you to stay well and not be sick and all of those things. So if that gets backed up, then you're going to have more issues. You're going to be more sick. You're going to have a lot of things that aren't working as well as they could. So that's why it's super important to always use those whole food supplements. Foods, the body knows what that is. It can break it down. You don't want to back up your liver and cause more issues, which is what we tend to do when we're running out to the store. I mean, the advertisements are everywhere. So it's like, oh, I need to go get this. And we just pick it up off the shelf, not realizing that we could be actually harming our body more rather than helping it. And so it's super important to know the difference between the two. If you want to have the right things in your body so it can actually do its job and work the way it's supposed to.
So once again, if you would like to reach us, you can reach us by phone at 586-445-8032. Our email is changinglives@shoreswellnesssolutions.com. And our website is shoreswellnesssolutions.com.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much.
Well, hopefully that was a little bit helpful today. And we want you to know that early detection really does save lives. We're here to help you. Please contact us. Let us know if you have any questions about it. Schedule your thermogram this year. It's very important. It's a great year to start your journey to health. And I'm Amy.
I'm Dr. Dave, and we want to be your inspiration
for healthy living. Thanks,
Beautiful.
guys.
Thank you so much.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.